I'm Mark Medina with the LA Times. I'm standing here at Staples Center where the Lakers came off a disappointing performance tonight against the Sacramento Kings, losing by a final score of 100-95. Lakers were far from happy with the performance, especially because it came against a sub-500 opponent, and it followed a pretty dominating performance on their end against the Utah Jazz, which is a much higher quality basketball team. And the Lakers have been down this road before. They've lost to a few sub-500 teams in the Milwaukee Bucks, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Indiana Pacers, and now the Sacramento Kings. But the Lakers had come off this previous stretch in the past 2 weeks really playing sharp basketball. They were able to capture some quality wins against some good teams like Oklahoma City, Denver, and Utah. And the team had really felt like they were able to hone in on their new defensive scheme, and they were playing very sharp on that end. But that was completely absent against Sacramento, where they let DeMarcus Cousins pretty much walk all over them. He finished with 27 points on 11 and 19 shooting. He entered the league a highly touted rookie, but all the reports indicate that he hasn't really lived up to his potential. He's had attitude problems with the team. He hasn't meshed well with the coaching staff. But the Lakers allowed him to really look like a Rookie of the Year candidate, and that's something that the Lakers definitely have to correct immediately, because they're playing against the Boston Celtics, who they faced off in the NBA Finals last year. They won in 7 games, and that was a question coming into this game, whether the Lakers would actually be looking ahead to that matchup. Derek Fisher had talked to the team during practice about not talking about the Celtics matchup because they had another game to worry about. Most of the players followed suit. I know Pau Gasol and Lamar, to some degree, were still entertaining questions about that, and Lamar, in somewhat of a joking fashion, kind of blamed the media for saying that we were looking ahead, which caused them to looking ahead. But other than that, the Lakers, and Phil Jackson kind of maintained, almost, indifference as far as whether they were looking ahead or not. They didn't really say one way or the other strongly whether that was the case. But whether they or not they're doing that is besides the point. They just did not execute. Kobe Bryant came out firing all cylinders. He got 21 points in the first half and was able to eclipse Hakeem Olajuwon for 8th place on the NBA all-time scoring marks. That's a nice milestone. But the Lakers really weren't in a rhythm offensively. The Lakers' front line was completely shut down. Pau Gasol only went 4 of 11 from the field. Lamar Odom was 0 of 7. Andrew Bynum went 4 of 8. So the typical strength that the Lakers have in going inside just wasn't there. Shannon Brown was able to provide some production off the bench, going 7-11 from the field, getting 17 points, was very inconsistent. But what was most egregious was that lack of defense. The Lakers eventually dialed it up in the 4th quarter. They were able to get some stops, get some key baskets, but it just wasn't enough, because not all of those baskets went in, and the Lakers didn't always make all those stops. It was simply too large of a deficit to overcome. Phil Jackson tried to paint this afterwards as saying, this is a scenario where the Lakers could really, respond well to this, use this as a teachable moment. But we've seen time before where the Lakers came off a loss against Milwaukee, and they entered the Christmas Day game against Miami. Everyone thought, okay, the Lakers are going to bring it. It's a marquee game. It's on Christmas Day. There's a lot of hype. They laid another egg. Lakers, you would presume, are geared up for the Boston Celtics for obvious reasons. It's a historical rivalry, reunion from the NBA Finals matchup. But, it's really hard predicting this team, so we'll just have to wait and see.